Hand over the session to Madan sir, the Element Head of Fire Team. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It is a pleasure to be here in this IGEN ENVIRONTHON 2024. Wonderful sessions are going on. So thank you, water element and fire element, earth element for connecting wonderful sessions. And it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome our esteemed guest, Srividhya Sukumar ma'am from internship in International University. So I would like to call upon our coordinator, Maheshwari ma'am, to give introduction about our chief guest for our inaugural address of our fire element. Maheshwari ma'am, over
Yes,
to you,
sir.
ma'am.
I'm audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning to everyone present here. We are delighted to present on behalf of IGEN for the Panchbhutas Element Fire. It's a great pleasure to have our inauguration for the session, and we wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Srividhya Sukumar ma'am, the chief guest for our inauguration. Ma'am is an educationist, entrepreneur, quality assurance and compliance expert. She is a strategic transformation in the R&D consultant. She's a master coach of life and business, a global chair of GSFN, ESG advocate, global ambassador of United Nations, Sharjah Emirates, United Arab Emirates. Ma'am, we welcome you for the inauguration as a chief guest. Kindly take over the session, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Maheshwari ma'am. That was very kind of you. Thanks, Madan sir, for all the excellent coordination that you've done. And the team IGEN for having us here today on this platform and for such a great initiative. Well, talking about fire, we all know that fire is one such element of among all the natural elements that is quite indispensable, without which nothing can happen in this earth. Because every day morning, if we don't have a sunlight, then what do? We get really stuck, isn't it? So fire is a very important aspect of everybody's life. On that note, thanks for inviting me to be the innovation part of it. Going ahead, like everything, as we have seen, everything in this nature is made up of the 5 basic elements, that is earth, water, and fire, and space. And the knowledge of these 5 elements allows the yogi or a person to understand the laws of nature as such and to use to attain greater health, power, knowledge, and wisdom and happiness. This arises out of the deep intuition, and this is how the whole universe operates. So the Ayurveda believes that everything in this universe is made up of the Panchabhuta. The Panchabhuta are the 5 elements that we're talking right from the morning, right from so far. That is Prithvi, earth is Prithvi, and water is Jala, heat is Agni, air is Vayu, and space is Akash. Collectively, they're termed as Panchabhutas. These constitute the minute elements which constitute the living and non-living matters. On that note, I would like to welcome the 2 other speakers who have joined me on this platform, Dr. Virginia Rivera and Ms. Maha. So little to know about Dr. Virginia. Dr. Virginia is highly accomplished, dedicated business professional with extensive experience as a certified business mentor, coach, and consultant. She is also a media proprietor and a partner of a renowned business conglomerate that is IIU University. And under her guidance, Virginia has successfully established 4 business programs under Solopreneurs, her personal brand operating from Puerto Rico, the USA Peru. On that note, we welcome you on board with us, Dr. Virginia. Please carry on the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Srividhya. I am very excited to be here with you today. I know that it's very, very early for you, and I appreciate the fact that the consideration was taken for all of us around the world that have a different time zone. So I am very, very thankful for the invitation and also for the time consideration. Today we're going to be talking about global warming and climate change. And I think these 2 terms are interchangeable. People use them interchangeably. They're very, very different. One definitely has to do with the other, but they're not the same thing. And today, this is going to be a very simple presentation, and I do hope that people will understand how we impact and the effect that humans can have on this. So every effort that we make here, every effort that we make in every single one of these wonderful sessions that are so informative, I see so many young people taking action. What I do want is not only that that action is done by them, but that they become emissaries of the world that we live in, and that other people will do the same. So I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. And like I said, this is going to be a very simple to understand presentation. And I think the simpler we can get, sometimes it makes the biggest impact because everyone can understand. I think we've talked about this never ending, how global warming is really affecting every part of our existence because it's really impacting climate change. Global warming is part of the ever effect of climate change, but they're not the same thing. And let's see and understand this impact. So today we're going to explore the causes, the effects, and the potential solutions to a pressing issue, not for some, but for all. So what is climate change? Climate change refers to the long-term changes in temperature, precipitation, and other climate patterns on Earth. It is primarily driven by us, by humans, such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, which actually releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So what is global warming? Global warming is a specific aspect of climate change. It's the one that refers to the overall increase in the Earth's average temperature. This warming trend is primarily attributed to increased concentration of the greenhouse effect in the atmosphere. So what are the causes of this increment in global warming and how it's causing climate change? Number one, the burning of fossil fuels. Number two, deforestation. Deforestation, I'm going to explain every single one of these aspects as we move forward. Industrial activities, agriculture. You would probably think that agriculture is a great thing. It is. But if our practices are not environmentally friendly and they're not responsible, then it's not good for the environment. Transportation. So the causes of climate change are varied, but they're very much interconnected, stemming from human activities mostly. We are the ones who are causing this effect. We release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. It gets caught where we live, where we're at in the atmosphere. And what it does, it makes where we live a lot hotter. I don't know if you have experienced it, but I have. I was just in India in July, and I thought I was going to die. I had been in India 2 summers ago in July, and it did not feel this way. Something is definitely happening, and it's time for us to take charge. Addressing these causes through sustainable practices, renewable energy, and policy changes is essential if we want to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So let's evaluate and see what the causes are for climate change. Number one, burning of fossil fuels. What is this? Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas are burned for energy production, right? This is what we use to create energy, to make things happen for transportation and industrial processes. This combustion releases greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, into the atmosphere. And what happens is it gets trapped and makes heat. And this contributes to the global warming, as I said before. Deforestation is the clearing of forests for agriculture, for logging, and urban development. We see it every day. We see it, people not even thinking about the effects. Every time that we kill a tree, Think of it. We kill a bunch of humans. So wouldn't you think that we would find better ways to really make things better? I'm going to present to you in a little while a city around the world, all the way in Latin America, that is definitely doing something about deforestation. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So this is why trees are so important. So when you deforest, you reduce the planet's ability to really sequester the carbon, take it out, and contributes to the buildup of greenhouse gases. Industrial activity. For the longest time, for many, many, many years, we've all seen a bunch of factories with black smoke coming up. Did we ever think that we were going to be able to coexist happily with this smoke? Actually, we can't. And we're actually feeling the effects today. Industrial activities such as manufacturing, mining, and construction emit large amounts of these greenhouse gases that we talked about and other pollutants. The production of goods and services that we love so much and that we can't live without actually contributes to air and water pollution, as well as the release of heat trapping gases that contribute to the climate change. So you see, when we really think about it, it's just us that we have to blame. Burning of, okay, we already did this. Agriculture. If you really think about going back to agriculture and really dedicating time to it, it's really, really great. I'm all for it. But agriculture is a significant contributor to climate change through the practices that we're doing. They're erroneous. They're not the correct way. They're not ethically friendly, such as livestock farming, fertilizer use, and land use changes. When we talk about fertilizer, we're talking about chemical fertilizer. Livestock farming generates methane emissions, while fertilizer using chemicals releases nitrous oxide, both potent greenhouse gases that contribute to our global warming. And transportation. Again and again, we see all the planes and we love them. We see the ships, they're a little bit less harmful, not as much, but then we see the trucks everywhere, and the cars. And cars and cars. And those that live in very dense cities, like New York, like Chicago, like New Delhi, like London, where there's so much traffic, we really need to start thinking about carpooling. We really need to start thinking of how we can make a difference. Transportation includes cars, trucks, airplanes, and ships, and it's a major source of these greenhouse gases. The burning of fossil fuels for transportation releases too much carbon dioxide, and we can take action on this. So what are the effects of climate change? Number one, rising sea level. Two, extreme weather events. I don't know if you are going through it, but where I come from, I live in a small island in the Caribbean. Every September, we have to be prepared for hurricanes. In 2017, we had Hurricane Maria. It was a number 5 hurricane and a tiny little island. The truth is that we don't think that what we do in India affects America, although what happens in America affects Africa. But you know, everything does. Another one of the effects of climate change is loss of biodiversity, disruption of ecosystems, and food and water scarcity. I'm going to be explaining each one of these. The effects of climate change are far-reaching, and their impact is not only into huge communities, but also the ecosystem of how our natural world exists. Addressing climate change through mitigation and adaptation with the strategic ideas in mind is essential to protect our planet and our future generations. So rising sea levels. Climate change leads to the melting of glaciers and ice caps, causing sea levels to rise. If you haven't seen the super documentary, look it up. You watch all these other movies, I'm going to invite you to watch a documentary on how the melting of the glaciers really affects all of us. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities, infrastructure, and ecosystems, increasing the risk of flooding and erosion. I was in Norway in the Arctic Circle 4 years ago. I went in winter, in the middle of winter, to the Arctic Circle. It was almost 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in the metric system, but in Celsius. But Fahrenheit, it means practically summer weather in the middle of winter. So you see, everything that we do, you may not think it's affecting you, but it affects not only you, but every single one of us. Extreme weather events. Climate change is associated with more frequent and intense extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, and wildfires. We experience heat waves this summer. I think a lot of countries are still going through this. These events can lead to property damage, loss of life, displacement of communities, and economic disruption. So what is the loss of biodiversity? Climate change will affect the ecosystem and its habitat, leading to loss of flora and fauna. We learned this when we were in school. We still want to protect, so we're still harming, but it's up to us to really mitigate the loss of our biodiversity, disruption of their ecosystem. Every time that we develop, every time that we make cement and stone, the most important thing, more than trees and nature, we're really robbing our flora and our fauna from their habitat. We are doing this to ourselves. And this is what we have to make sure that we eliminate. The effects of climate change also affect our food and water scarcity. Climate change affects agricultural productivity, water availability, and food security. Changes in temperature, precipitation patterns can lead to crop failures, water scarcity, and food shortages. And we see how this is affecting the world now. How does it impact our health? So it's not only nature. I think a lot of times when we think about the environment, we think about the outside. We forget that it also affects our inside. And this is why it's so important. It increases heart-related illnesses, spreads infectious diseases, air and water pollution, which will make us sick, mental health impacts, displacement of community. When you have floods, hurricanes, we need to move our people from one place to the other. The impact of climate change on human health is profound and multifaceted, affecting physical, mental, and social well-being. We need to address these climate change issues now so we can build resilient communities. It is crucial in order for us to safeguard human health and well-being. So rising temperatures due to climate change leads to heart-related illnesses, heat stroke, and dehydration. Vulnerable populations such as the elderly, children, and people that are already compromised really are most affected. Also, climate change can alter the geographic distribution and the prevalence of infectious diseases. It's not only malaria and dengue and Lyme. We saw what happened with the pandemic. Changes in temperature and precipitation can create favorable conditions for disease and pathogens. Air and water pollution. I don't really need to go into this, but I want to remind you how important it is because this is what goes into our body. This is how we nourish ourselves. This is how we make sure that we are functioning. Climate change contributes to air and water pollution through the release of these greenhouse gases. Poor air quality can exacerbate any type of respiratory condition that you may have. And it affects our mental health. Significant mental health impacts because it includes anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. All this affects the inside of human, not only where they live outside, but inside. Displacement of communities, I think, is probably one of the saddest. Climate change related events such as sea level rise, extreme weather conditions, and droughts can force communities to have to relocate, leave where they've been, their tradition, their customs, and just go to new places. Many refugees face challenges today due to displacement, loss of homes, livelihood, and social networks. So you see, it's not only outside, it's not only about chopping trees and saving paper It's really about so much more. It's really about us and the life that we lead. So what are the solutions to climate change? Transition to renewable energy sources, sustainable agricultural practices, reforestation and forest conservation, energy efficiency and conservation, and international cooperation and policy change. I'm going to go to the first one. So, transitions to renewable energy sources. Transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydroelectric, and geothermal power can reduce these greenhouse gases. Investing in renewable energy infrastructure and technology is essential for sustainable energy in the future. This is not only in big corporations. This is actually in your home. There's solutions for you in your home. Implementing sustainable agricultural practices such as organic farming, crop rotation, and agroforestry can reduce emissions from agriculture. And then agriculture will be the blessing and the godsend that we know it can be. Practices that enhance soil health, water conservation, and biodiversity contribute to climate resilience. And that's an important term that we're going to be using again and again, climate resilience. Reforestation and forest conservation. In Medellin, Colombia, every time an entrepreneur opens a brick and mortar building, they have to promise that they will plant 5 trees. Every time that a merchant opens a new business, they have to plant 5 trees. If you go to Medellin, Colombia, you will see how beautiful cement and nature interact. Actually, they can coexist. We just have to be intentional with our effort. Reforestation initiatives and forest conservation is so much more than having our kids in school plant on one day. We all do this. You know what? Those trees die because nobody's there to follow up. So it's up to us. Protecting the forests that already exist and planting those trees can mitigate the impact, but we need to be there and we need to follow up on the procedure. So solutions to climate change, energy efficiency and conservation, improving energy efficiency in buildings, transportation, and industrial processes, implementing energy saving technologies such as LED lighting. It's so easy. Instead of going to buy your nice soft yellow light, make sure they're LED lighting and energy efficient appliances. The other ones may be cheaper, but if you don't have a planet to live in, what are you saving for? So international cooperation is key. Policy changes have to exist. The most important thing is that we learn from each other. If India is guiding us, we will follow India. If the US is really making sure that public policy is reinforced, we will follow suit because we'll have results. And when we have results, then we know that things work. So we need pioneers. We need people that, and governments and civic organizations that will make the effort and will make sure that it does work. And how can you impact? How can every single one of us impact? Number one, stop using plastic. Can it be any more easy? I mean, this is easier. Like, stop throwing your garbage out on the street. I mean, I don't understand. I go to beautiful countries and I see so much garbage in the streets. In the US, you can throw garbage out or you will be fine. We do a lot of other awful things, but we don't throw our garbage out. Let's start with that. If you eat something, take the garbage with you, throw it away in a can. Make sure that it's disposed of. And start protecting our water resources. That means do not use chemicals close to your water resources. Where there's a body of water, don't wash your clothes with chemicals. Don't throw away garbage. These are the things that we can actually do that are so simple. Reduce energy consumption at home. Turn everything off if you're not using it. Use public transportation or carpool. Leave the Mercedes home, the BMW. You know what? You don't need it. Carpool with somebody. Support sustainable businesses. If you know that a business is reusing, it's reducing, and it's recycling, go patronize. Go spend your money there. That's where you need to go. And apply it to yourself. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. They're just not cute words. They're actually there for a reason. Advocate for climate change and climate action. Go to your government and tell them, let them know that you want your voice heard, that you're part of a bunch of people. If we all stay quiet, nothing happens. But if we all unite our voices together, we can cause change. It is imperative that we take immediate action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Everything we're doing now is producing these greenhouse gas emissions. But everything that we can do in the future will definitely help us reduce, protect our environment, and mitigate the impact of climate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. That was a very amazing, wonderful presentation where you have beautifully highlighted almost all the factors which are related to climatic change that is being followed, that with rising sea levels, extreme weather conditions, which is affecting the ecosystem of the earth as such, and how to safeguard the earth. And thereby you have given already the solutions which are related to climatic change, transition to renewable energy sources, and investing more on the renewable energy sources, and following sustainable agriculture practices, and also enhancing soil health and water health and the biodiversity. And also, last but not the least, I think that the last thing was on individual actions to combat climatic change. Stop using plastic and throwing garbage on the street. Stop, like littering the whole place. Reduce energy consumption. Very good. Yes, definitely use public transport. Use sustainable businesses. And with reduce, the 3R slogan of reduce, recycle, and reuse. Advocate climatic action, which is quite imperative to take the immediate action, as you rightly said, to reduce the green gas emissions, to protect the environment and mitigate the impacts of the climatic change. Thank you so much. That was really appreciated. And I would request you to stop sharing your screen if it's possible. And
I thought I had, okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. And we have got our another speaker with us, Ms. Maha, who have been waiting from 3 o'clock. Thanks for your biggest patience. And definitely it shows that how you are passionate about your work and your commitment. Thank you. Hats off to you, Ms. Maha. And she's a dedicated training consultant, education leader, language advocate, and AI expert with over 20 years of experience in education. Her extensive background spans education management, instructional design, language expertise, and artificial intelligence. She is committed to empowering others through the effective communication and professional development. As a co-author of the Academic English series, New Times Today, Maha has always brought wealth of knowledge and practical insights in the roles of President of International Internship University and the Student Development Council, British Council Ambassador, Global School Alliance Ambassador, e-twinning Ambassador, and she leveraged her experience to drive positive change in education, but also in the society. Thank you so much, Ms. Maha, joining us on the platform. Over to you, Ms. Maha. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srividhya, for this amazing introduction. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Good morning, everyone. Even though it's midnight here in my country, it's almost 2 o'clock, but it's okay. Good morning, everyone, esteemed guests, fellow panelists, and audience members. Actually, I'm so honored and proud to be here today in order to discuss the pressing issue of the climate. Allow me just a minute to share my screen before I'm going to forget to do that. Just a minute. I think it's I think it's visible now. So as I just mentioned, I'm really grateful for being here today with you to discuss the pressing issues of the climate change and its profound impacts on future generations. As an educator, actually, I believe it's impressive to delve deeper into the challenge we face and explore the potential solution with a particular focus on the role of the awareness, especially among the students. Actually, to avoid repetition, because I prepared the part, I think Dr. for your wonderful presentation. So I will try to avoid some of the repetitions. We just having, whenever we speak about the future generations, we are supposed to take into consideration the major effects of climate change, whether we are going to speak about the greenhouse effects, whether we are going to speak about human activities or global warming itself, as Dr. Virginia mentioned. Here comes the profound impacts of the future generation. Here, it's our duty as an educator, as environments, as people, for example, who take care of the environment, whatever we are going, whether we are going to be in America, Africa, Asia, etc. When we have a global warming, this is sure is going to affect the future generations. This is going to be the rising the sea level, the extreme weather events, the biodiversity loss. I mentioned, I'm not going to repeat to avoid the repetition. Also, this is sure is going to lead to the threat to the ecosystem and the biodiversity. I'm going to focus also, we have also to take into consideration, we don't have to forget about the disruption of the socio-economic system, whether it's going to come to agriculture, we are going to suffer from the space, whether it's going to come to infrastructure. And also we don't have to forget the profound impacts on health and how global change is going to impact the future generation health through the heat stress, the air pollution, and the spread of the diseases, increasing healthcare and burden. I would like just to focus more because I would like to focus more in my presentation. I just move quickly on the first slide. I would like to focus more on the call for action, the urgent need for action. Actually, we are supposed to just, it's very important for us to do a change. Whether, for example, if it's going to be the first step by reducing the emission, especially when it comes to using the new renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and most importantly is reducing the deforestation, which we consider all important steps and crucial if we want to take care of our environment. We need to do an adaptation for the change. We need to teach the new generation to adapt to through developing strategies to manage the risk associated with the climate change, such as, for example, if it's come to water conservations or any types of resilient infrastructure. Also, it's very important to have an international cooperation. Global cooperation is very important, and that's actually what we are doing through such types of amazing programs, where we have educators, we have experts from different parts across the world in order to share this concern. It's essential to address climate change through shared responsibility and coordinate efforts. We as educators, we consider as an agents of a change. Why? Because at school, it's very important. We have different ages, and whenever we want to speak about a change, we are supposed to start with the kids. If we are going to teach kids later on, teenagers and adults, we are going to guarantee that the future generation are going to be a responsible one. That's why it's very important. It's essential. Schools play, not just schools, university also. That's why I'm stressing the role of educators today. They play an important role in promoting climate literacy. It's very important that we equip our students with the knowledge and the skill to understand the climate change and its impacts, because unfortunately, with all of what's happening globally, we still have a big number of students who are not aware of climate change. So it's very important to put as a part of the curriculum all over the world in order to prepare the students, in order to have, like we have a digital literacy, we should have climate literacy. We need to foster critical thinking. Critical thinking is very important because we need to teach our students to analyze the information, to evaluate the solution, and to engage in responsible decision making. When our students or our future generations are going to think in a critical way, they are going to be able to expect what is going to happen later on. They are going to be more involved. The more we are going to involve our students in such such types of activities related to climate change, the more they are going to be more responsible. They are going to be able to take make a decision, because actually they are going to be the agents of change, because we depend heavily on them. We need to inspire action. Teaching, or if we want to say teaching by modeling, it's not enough for me to give lectures for my students, whether at university or schools. We need to teach them. We need to be model. So we need to inspire action, motivate the student to become active citizen by giving them an example, by be a leader of a change, and also by advocate climate change and climate-friendly policies and practice. The more we are going to lead by example, the more we are going to have responsible generation. Call to action, it can be in different way. We can, for example, we have many things that can be simple, and all educators can apply with their students, and not just at school, because from the school it starts. Later on, they move the students. They can be volunteered to work in their community. In such a way, we are going to start. It's just small community. It's going to be bigger and bigger. What we can do, just here we have small suggestions about what we can do. We need to plant trees. It's very important to arouse our students awareness or about the importance of planting trees, because it's going to help to absorb the CO2, sure, as you know, and help combat the climate change. Planting trees, support reforestation efforts, and to protect all kinds of forests is going to be very important, because usually simple action can make a bigger change. Of all of us, we are going to start to do such simple thing. We are going to make a big difference. We need also to switch to solar, to the wind, to the other any source of energy that can help to reduce reliance on the fossil fuels we have. Number 3, and it's very important, is reduce waste. We need to focus in that. We need to practice waste reduction, recycling, and minimize our environmental footprint, because unfortunately we still have many countries, that they are not still doing recycling. So recycling can start at school, can start at home, in order to move and have a better community. The more we are going to speak about that, the more we are going to ask our students to practice doing that and lead the initiatives themselves, we are going to do a change. And we need to teach them about how to conserve energy. Whether, for example, turn the light, use energy efficiency, or reduce energy consumptions, whether at home and school. Simple action, but can make a big difference in our life. Something very important also I would like to highlight in my short presentation for today is empowering the next generation. The next generation we consider as the solution for our problem. They are the future generation, and they are supposed to be the leader. They are supposed to do a change. What we did now, they are supposed to fix later on. Very important, as I mentioned earlier, is to do a climate education. Very important is to provide comprehensive, and it's not just an hour to be an hour we teach it, or with just a short project. Some of the teachers, they do a short project at school and that's it, or at the university, that's it. No, climate education is supposed to be essential from the beginning of the year till the end of the year. We need to have comprehensive and accessible climate education to young people. It's very crucial for fostering a generations of climate citizens. Climate education should empower the younger generation to understand the science, the impact, and the solution. When they are going to be aware about the problem, when they are going to know the causes, they are going to know the effects, they start to think about the solution. The second one, it's not important, it's not just enough to teach them. Teaching is not enough. We need to support them to be leaders. Supporting youth leader initiative and empowering them to do the solution by themselves. Education and lecture alone is not it can be enough if young children are not going to be able to lead. They are not going. We are supposed to teach them to be creative, to be critical thinker, to be able to communicate with their community and to lead initiative. When they are going to lead the initiative, they are going to be motivated, they are going to be creative, and they are going to think more about the environment. Young generation are often at the front. They are supposed to be at the forefront of the developing new technologies and creative approaches to addressing environmental challenge. Number three, very important to do like what we call it a climate leadership. Monitoring and supporting young people to become a climate leader is very important, and this can happen with the help, sure, with the help of the government. It can be helped also, for example, with the help of NGO, a special NGO who pay special attention to climate change. So we are supposed to monitor and support the future generation to become a climate leader for creating a sustainable future, because we are supposed to think about, sure, we think about sustainability. Young leader can inspire others and advocate for change and drive policy decisions that's going to make environmental sustainability a priority. And more things to add. We need to pay attention to the community engagement. It's very important not just to pay attention to the community. It's very important to raise awareness, whether, for example, among parents, whether among all people. Very important to have a connection with the community we are living in, because one hand, if we can, for example, alone we can do something, together we can make a big difference. So engaging young people in the community-based climate action project can foster a sense of ownership and responsibility. The more they are going to connect, the more they are going to be engaged, the more they are going to be with decision maker, with policy maker. They are going to feel responsible. They are going to feel that they can do a listener. They are going to be active participant, not just a passive listener who just hear about the climate change and escape, for example, just having a lecture and escape. The more they are going to be involved, the more they are going to be responsible and creative. Community engagement it's going to help them to provide them with opportunities to learn, to connect with other people, and to make a difference in their local area. Just as a conclusion, I would like to say that addressing climate change sure need not just 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We need hours, we need sessions, we need many conferences, and we need many awareness from the beginning of the year till the end of the year. It's required just many approaches that involve, as I mentioned earlier, the government, the business, the individual, the environmentalists, the local community, we people, and people themselves. However, the role of awareness, especially among the students, is essential. If we empower students to understand and address climate change, we can create actually a more sustainable and resilient future for generation to come. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and sorry if I just speak a lot. I know it's mid of the night.
Thank you, Ms. Maha. That was an amazing presentation, I would say. Really, we really enjoyed through the session, and we really not want to stop you. And more innovative but very practical measures that you have suggested as remedies are like empowering the next generation. That shows that you are a vision. You are definitely on the vision of implementing climatic education, which is quite definitely, though knowledge sharing platforms like this really contribute towards it, but climatic education should be emphasized at the level, and youth-led innovation. That's again one important thing that really made an impression, that impact, such that anything that comes to the youth, because they are the voice of the crowd, they are the future generation, they are our future basically. So in fact, if we have to protect the earth, we have to protect it for them, the younger generation. So on that note, like relating it to climatic leadership, such that the policy makers, the strategies to be implemented with where the young leaders take the lead such that we are only facilitators for the environment. It's a sustainability with the community engagement activities. Excellent, excellent, Maha. Thank you so much. Thanks for all those contributions. Definitely, it was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much. It
Thank
is
you.
wonderful having you here. On that note, I would like to go ahead with my presentation as such, and it's already time. I don't want to go behind the schedule as such. Please allow me to share my screen. So when we talk about the anthropological perspective of climatic change, yeah. So when we talk about the climatic change, it's just not physical, but an environmental issue, as we all talked about, as Dr. Virginia was mentioning, as even Dr. Maha was mentioning. It's but a social and a cultural one. So anthropologists study how human societies perceive and adapt to and are impacted by the changing climates, and often linking to the broader themes such as inequality, globalization, historical environmental relationships. So on that note, the key perspectives to be remembered are as follows. So the human environment interaction is a basic thing. The first thing, that's what we are trying to do. The campaign and the knowledge sharing practices that we are implementing or we are practicing these days are the first thing that to create awareness in people. So anthropologists examine how different societies have interacted with the environments over time, such that we learn from their lessons. So the climatic change is understood as a part of long history into the human adaptation that has brought the environmental changes from weather through migration, technological innovations, or the changes in the social organization. So when it is anthropone, a term coined to define the current era in which the humans have a significant impact on Earth's ecosystem, is central to this discussion. However, we cannot rule out the past. The important quote, that is, we cannot live in the past because it's already there. We cannot live in the future because it's to become. The present is very important because that's otherwise called as a gift. So let's learn to live in the present as such to implement the cultural perspective of the climate. That is, different cultural perceive and interpret environmental changes in various ways that often influenced by the religious, spiritual, and cosmological views. For example, indigenous communities may have traditional ecological knowledge that offer the different perspectives on climatic change compared to the Western scientific approaches. Anthropology explores that these diverse interpretations are often contrasting to the global scientific narratives with a local understanding of the climatic phenomena of the local community in which that we are relating to. So to balance this, to build an ecosystem, there should be a social inequality and the climate vulnerability should be dealt with. So the climatic change disproportionately affects the marginalized communities, often in regions that contribute to the least to the greenhouse emissions. Anthropologists study, however, the power dynamics, inequality, and the colonial histories made certain groups more vulnerable to have the impacts of the climatic change. So this includes how poverty, gender, race, and other social factors influence the climatic adaptation and recover from the climatic related disorders. So the best remedy is globalization and capitalization. So as we were talking about, we are looking for policy makers, we are looking for visionaries, we are looking for strategic people who can start implementing things. Instead of just sharing knowledges, let's start implementing things such that anthropologists also analyze how climatic change is linked to the global economic systems. Many view that climatic change as a result of industrialization and capitalist expansion, particularly in the global north, exploits the natural resources or the labor of the global south. So this critic emphasizes that how economic practices contribute to the environmental degradation, how addressing this climatic change requires a challenging, but also it will bring back the global economic order. So how is it going to be possible? Adaptation and resilience. We need to adapt to the present situation, accept the present situation as it is, because we are talking about sustainability. Sustainability is not jeopardizing the whole situation, disturbing the present situation. This is like adapting the present situation and thinking about what can be implemented for the betterment. So in that case, we will have a lot of hurdles to cross. We'll have a lot of tasks to achieve. We'll have a lot of, negative things to manage with. In that case, what is very important, the resilience point of it. So in response to the climatic changes, anthropologists document the strategies that the various communities have adopted to the past and also cope cope up and to adapt to the future. So this includes both the traditional knowledge systems and such as agricultural practices, adapting changing weather patterns, and modern technological and infrastructural solutions. Studying these practices helps to understand the resilience and capacity of the different societies to serve in the changing world. So the anthropological contribution to climatic change says that anthropology provide a valuable insight for all the policymakers, environmental activities by emphasizing the social cultural dimensions of the climatic change. It challenges purely technological and scientific solutions by highlighting the need for culturally sensitive approaches that consider the local knowledge, human rights, and social justice. In summary, from the anthropological perspective, climatic change is a deeply intertwined with the human cultures, societies, and the histories of the past with the visions of the future. So it's not the crisis of the environment, but also the social structures, inequalities, and the ways of human life that we talk about. End of the session is that to conclude that fire is the element that is associated with the ability to see both the physical light that illuminate things around us and the spiritual light of consciousness that removes the darkness of ignorance from us, such that we lead kindly light. We lead ourselves to light. We lead ourselves from the darkness to move to the light of knowledge. So fire in our hearts with the wisdom guided through which will provide the energy we need for the right action, the right time, the right move. So fire can be an incredible useful tool. We cook our food with fire, we warm our homes with fire, we light our candles with fire, we roast our marshmallows with fire, we shape our metals with the fire. Why not we create a new energy, new life with our fire? Thanks so much. And with that, I need to end my show. I think it's already time, such that we have come to the end of the session. And I think somebody will take over my session from here.
Ma'am, I'm audible, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Ma'am, it's really thankful for you and the other two, ma'am, Dr. Virginia Rivera, ma'am, and Dr. Mahasade, ma'am, and Dr. Srividhya Sukumar, ma'am. It's really a wonderful presentation. And I think most of our participants, they would have got a beneficial part, how the climate change will be for the future generations, as well as for the global warming, how it can be. And from your perspective, how the anthropological ways, and it's really, really a fantastic show, ma'am. Our heartfelt thanks on behalf of IGEN for this wonderful talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to IGEN and the wonderful IGEN team who are still awake with all the brightness. Thank you, Madan sir. Thanks for all the support. And though we really, that's how it is actually. When we talk about resilience, there are so many hurdles that comes across our way, and how we manage the situation, how we work as a team to just get the things done. That's what that really matters. So when we're able to do it in this session, why not we do it for our society when we talk about SDG? Goal 17. Thank you so much. On that note, signing off, Srividhya, and definitely we'll catch you soon in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.